My pitch to the industry is, again, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And I'm not asking for everybody to look at modular as the only way to go. I'm just looking for opportunities to introduce the product and to share the benefits, to talk about the product. And we're here if we can support you in your business.
Hello, and welcome to the Elevator Careers Podcast, sponsored by the Allred Group. I am your host, Matt Allred. In this podcast, we talk to the people whose lives and careers are dedicated to the vertical transportation industry to inform and share lessons learned, building upon the foundation of those who have gone before to inspire the next generation of elevator careers. This is part 2. Today we are talking about Phoenix Modular Elevator with Chuck Tyler, Director of Operations and Business Development. Phoenix Modular has been in business for 15 years and primarily serves North America. They are growing rapidly in an innovative side of the industry. Phoenix Modular is able to pre-manufacture and ship their product, cutting down site impact and installation by 75%. They have an innovative product and approach that is driving healthy growth and industry change. Chuck, welcome to the show.
Good to see you again, Matt.
Likewise. Thank you. And, we said at the end of the last episode that we're going to talk a little bit more about Phoenix Modular and your experience there now. And it looks like you're standing right there in the shop. But I guess before we jump into the shop, how did you get, I guess, affiliated with Phoenix?
Well, I'll just tell a quick story. So I mentioned before, I worked my way through helperhood and through corporate America and kind of got up to the top of construction, running the construction department for Thyssen, and it took a toll on the life, traveling and so on and so forth. And I went through a divorce and took an opportunity to leave and do something different. I went to work for an independent elevator company and just had a great time. It was an amazing experience, the entrepreneurial, really getting back down in the weeds again, getting back to my passion. And I was having such a great time. Then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, the owner of that company decided it was a good time to sell. And so that happened. And I was looking for an opportunity, and I didn't want to go back to working for a major again, the same old thing. So I had a great opportunity to go to work for Vantage, working on freight doors, mostly in New York City. I think you and I met around that time. And I really liked working on the vendor side. I got to get involved in the NAAC, and I talked about earlier, my networking exploded. Now I didn't just know the people at Thyssen, I knew people all throughout the industry, which really is a nice thing. And when you need to go look for an opportunity out there, so Vantage was trucking along, everything was going just fine, but it just again wasn't exactly what I wanted. And I have a friend of mine that introduced me to the owner of Phoenix Modular, Allison, and her and I got the opportunity to sit down and talk. And she's an amazing lady who bought Phoenix Modular 15 years ago out of bankruptcy. It was originally Infinite Access, started back in the 90s. So Allison comes from a background, not an elevator background. She's a MBA, and she comes from Alcoa. Has done a heck of a job building the company. But when her and I got talking, she felt like it was a really good time to bring somebody in with some elevator experience. And so here I am. And now I'm in the world of modular elevators, building them, laying on their side, and looking at the business from a different perspective, a different point of view.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about modular elevators. I don't know if all of our listeners even know what that is or how that, how those work. But I found several people that are in my conversations that are like, what is that? Can you answer that question?
Yeah. So at Phoenix Modular Elevator, we build a shaft. You can see them behind me here. We build a shaft out of 4x4 tube steel, and in that shaft is it's built for the size of the elevator. Once it gets built, the shaft gets built, we move it down, and the shaft we install the rails in the shaft. And then the hoistway gets drywalled both inside and outside. So it's a completed hoistway with rails. And then we move it down to the next section where we go through elect mech, which is our electrical and mechanical section. And there we put all of the electrical, piping, wiring, switches, um, pit lights, lights up the hoistway, all the wiring and fixtures. And then from there, it moves into the finishing station. We have a separate area where the cabs are built. Cabs are built upright, standard,
Okay.
built on the car sling, completely finished, doors hung, operators set up, and then that cab is laid down and stabbed into the hoistway. Um, if it's a single section hoistway, it ships as one unit. If it's a
Okay.
multi-section, which we do up to three separate
So you're saying
sections.
stack them. So I'm that's what I'm hearing, correct? You stack them
Yes.
on top of each other. So how high can you go then total?
So with a typically with a single unit, you're what limits you is trucking, right?
Okay.
How long of a truck you can get. So standard is around 54 feet. You can get a truck that'll take a 54 footer without doing anything special, flagging or anything like that. So our breaking point is around that 50-foot overall hoistway. So that's including the pit and the overhead. So
So is that a
anything
3-4 stop? What is that? I mean,
Yeah, you can get up to you can get a short three stop in a single section.
okay.
You figure your overhead's going to be 13 feet, your pit's going to be 4 feet, and then your travel between there. So gives you can get 20 something feet. So you can get a couple stops in there without any problem, and get a three stop.
And then you can stack 3 of those. So 9 stories.
So we've done the biggest job that we've done is UCSD, which is 4 nonstop traction cars, about 125 foot of travel. So those were three separate towers stacked together.
Awesome.
There was 4 of them. It became a 2 across from 2 in a parking garage, and
Awesome.
the project was basically when we were setting the units, they were pouring concrete on the top parking garage floor. They were able to open it with traditional elevators. When they were able to give the hoistways, it just wouldn't have been possible for them to be able to complete it. So the modular solution really helped them in that regard. These actually went inside the core of the building. They're not on the exterior.
Gotcha. What's the advantage to modular? I mean, obviously you're building them beforehand. You're in a controlled environment. You're kind of queuing everything up, drop it in with a crane. What are some of the biggest advantages to this type of construction?
So first off, I'll say that modular elevators is not a one size fits all. It's not going to replace any elevator in any situation. But when it fits the application, it's a really great option. And I look at it from a lot of different perspectives. So when we look at the installation piece of it, we talked about that fear of the lack of fear of heights, and
Sure.
unfortunately in this industry, there's a lot of falls.
Sure.
And in our system, the rails are never carried over their head. There's no hoisting. Our hoistways, our elevators are built laying on their sides. We have a rotator, so the hoistway is actually
Oh,
rotated
wow.
so that you
Okay.
carry the rails in. You never have to carry them, lift them over. You carry them in and set them
You
onto the
don't you don't
brackets.
have to hook them to the ceiling essentially. Okay.
No, no. So we can spin the shaft so that the drywall can be done. Nobody ever has to stand on top of the shaft, under the shaft. You can do it at a regular working height. Same thing with the door frames. There's, when you're installing the door frames, there's no fear of dropping something down the shaft. So the safety mechanism of just being able to not have those same challenges. We also have a very controlled space, so we don't have to worry about somebody working above us or
Right.
working below us. We control we're in a factory environment, so we have a controlled workspace. We also have quality controls that I really think are fantastic, because we don't have to go out there once a week to look at the job to check how the installation's going, or even once every couple of days. We come out and walk the floor for quality daily, all day long. We have a quality person on the floor checking as we go, double checking, triple checking, making sure that the tolerances that we have are held. So quality is a huge piece of it. So we have safety, we have quality, and then we have the job site aspect. And in a lot of situations, if the job site's tight, or if there's a time constraint, or A weather constraint, we can eliminate those issues by prefabbing the elevator in our factory, wrapping it, securing it, shipping it to the job site, and hoisting it into place. Within a matter of an hour or so. Now, once it's hoisted in place, obviously you still have to go in and do your final adjusting and so
Sure.
on and so forth, right? But that installation time is reduced down from a couple of weeks to a couple of days because we're able to accomplish a majority of the installation, in our controlled environment.
Yeah, and you said that obviously it's not going to replace every kind of elevator. There's still going to be traditional elevators being built. What would you say are some of the areas, some of the applications that would be most likely to say, "Hey, that would work for us. That's a good solution."
So 2 and 3 and 4 stop hydros are really where we excel. I think it's an addition situation where they're adding an elevator on. Again, a fantastic situation. Where where space can be an issue, we can help with that solution by adding the elevator. So it really truly is a site by site look at it. But our elevator will fit in any building, again, with limitations with travel and so on. We're not going to go and
Mhm.
put one of these in a high rise building in downtown
No.
Manhattan. It doesn't make sense, right? But in most applications in lower rise buildings, 10 floors and under, we can provide a solution that in many cases can aid the job and the schedule of the project.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and you talked about the difference between having an elevator up and running in, say, a day versus a few weeks, and it feels like you have a lot more flexibility, maybe with schedules, with if you're dealing with GCs and other contractors, you kind of got an opportunity to build it, drop it in, get out of the way. Um, I could see some advantages, some big advantages in there.
Right. And then that's the whole key to it is when you take an elevator and you deliver it to the job site and it takes up a lot of real estate on the project, right? Even a 2 stop, 3 stop elevator will take up, a 40 by 40 space on the job site. And in many cases, there's not 40 by 40 space to store all this equipment. Whereas when
Sure.
my elevator comes, we set it in, all the elevator equipment's already in the hoistway, right? So you're not taking up that valuable space that's needed for all the other trades to be able to complete their work. And in many cases, the elevator is one of the things that holds up the turnover of the project because things got to get finished so that the all the other finishes can kind of follow along. So I think that's where we can provide a benefit is we set the elevator and essentially once the fire alarm wires are there and all the power's hooked up, it's just a matter of coming in and hooking that stuff up, making a few adjustments, and we're ready to rock and roll.
It almost sounds like plug and play, right? To borrow that.
Plug and we're not quite there, but we're working towards it every day. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, compared to I guess a longer time to build it, it's certainly a difference. What would you say about the potential? I mean, it feels like this is not new, but maybe hasn't really hit mainstream like it could. I mean, do you see much potential, or do you feel like, hey, we've kind of maxed out with what we're doing?
No, I believe that I believe there's a huge opportunity for us um, to grow our customer base, to let it be known more what we do, and that's part of my challenge here at Phoenix is you know growing who we are as an organization and getting us out there. I think people that understand what we do and can see the benefit overall. The problem is if you get a price for a traditional elevator quote and we bid
Hmm.
the same job, um, it's not apples to apples, right? Because your traditional elevator quote is an elevator that somebody's going to install in that shaft. I'm providing an elevator that's already installed in a shaft and the shaft it comes with. So that's the challenge that I see is educating that you have to factor in the entire cost of the elevator shaft included,
Sure,
not
sure.
just
What's
the
the shaft going
elevator,
to
right?
cost? I mean, that's a lot of concrete to build a shaft, right? And if you don't have to worry about building a shaft, I mean, and granted, I guess depending on how the engineers, maybe you need the concrete for the shaft to hold up the building, so you got to take that into account as well, right?
Well, we have our system. We can tie into shear walls and stuff like that. So our elevator can be provided for support. So on
Okay.
modular buildings and so on and so forth. So there's options in that regard for sure. We do twin post in ground jacks. We do MRLs. So we have a full line of products, and in most cases, again, we're not going to go into a 100-story building in Manhattan, but in most cases, 10 floors and under, we can find an application. And if schedule, if job compactness and things like that are an issue, then in a lot of cases we can help with that.
Yeah, yeah. Who you say are some of the early adopters? I mean, who are some of the customers that maybe it's general contractors or developers or that are looking at this going, hey, I can I want more of those.
So a lot of our units ship to California. It's the modular industry out there for schools and such has been going on for some time. They've accepted it, and it's pretty standard in that market.
Interesting. Hmm.
We've developed some great relationships directly with general contractors. We do self-perform. We have licensed mechanics in 15, 16 states now.
Hmm.
So in those states, we self-perform. In the areas that we aren't licensed, we have partners that do our installations. Um, so I'm I might have got off track there. I'm lost my
No,
train
no,
of
you're good.
thought.
I'm
But
just curious. Yeah, who you see as kind of your primary customers or as far as demand? Because
so
I could. I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
I think that from my perspective, I think that this product is a great thing to have in your sales bag if you're a traditional elevator company, right? Because if
Okay.
if somebody wants to add an elevator to the side of a building, I'm a perfect resource, and we will, by the way, happily build a hoistway and ship it without the elevator pre-installed. So we do sell the modular hoistway without the elevator in it if the application requires that. Um,
So I think I'm hearing you say that if I'm an independent elevator contractor and maybe I don't do a lot of new installation, but I have an opportunity, I could buy it from you. I could buy just the hoistway. The uh, I could buy the whole package and do some installation. Uh, that kind of work. Is that correct?
Yeah, thank you. That's exactly right. So we do have marketing literature on just providing the hoistway drywalled, and then the elevator can be installed in the hoistway, by the traditional elevator company.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean that sounds like a huge opportunity there because I mean I've been recruiting in the elevator industry for 12, 13, whatever, 14 years maybe. And it seems like new elevators are kind of always the domain of the majors, the OEMs at least, that they manufacture them. We could say give it away, right? But they can sell it at a low cost. And if I'm going to try to buy it and then install it, it's prohibitive. And yet you've got a product there that, I'm just curious, how competitive would that be if Matt's elevator company here in Georgia wants to, install one of those. Is it competitive compared to the major OEMs?
So again, I think that any independent elevator company material wise is going to always have a hard time competing with the OEMs.
Hmm.
As you mentioned, they basically, they're not looking to make a lot of money on the front end of that job. You're looking to get it on service for the long term. Then that's their business model. We are not our primary business for the modular side doesn't involve the service aspect. So
Okay.
we're not in this business to service the elevator. So I think where I see a big benefit to the elevator companies is if you're a small independent, mid-sized independent company that does service and modernizations, but really you don't dabble in NI because you don't have the resources, but you have a customer that needs a two-stop or a three-stop. We can provide that to you. ship it out, set it for you, get it all taken care of. You can do the final adjustments, turn it over to your customer, and then convert it to a maintenance contract for the next 20 years. So I think there's the benefit to the elevator
Yeah.
companies. And again, maybe not every company is gonna go that route, but for those companies that aren't looking to keep a construction department busy, but have customers that require the product, that we're certainly here for them.
Yeah.
We
No.
work a lot. We work a lot with general contractors directly. I'll be 100% honest with you. Some of the big guys don't have the greatest reputations on how they work with,
Mhm.
the change orders and some of the things that happen in the process of the job. So we've had some really good luck in developing those relationships and working directly with the general contractors, and providing the product. So I think there's multiple different opportunities to sell the product.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, you mentioned that you don't do the service. Do you partner with somebody, or how do you? I mean, is it just up to the customer who they have service their equipment, or you just kind of you don't even get involved there?
No, no, no. So we have a network of service providers that we've developed over the years. So when we sell the job, we include the NIM just like a traditional elevator company would, and that's we just we work with our partners in all of
Nice.
those markets to take the service. So that's a good benefit for them as well, right? Is again, you're taking the service without the risk of the construction losses and such.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome. You talked a little bit about change orders, and one thing I've found intriguing is people that get bonuses for change orders, and I'm not worked in the field, right? But my brain starts immediately saying, oh, is that not an incentive to withhold information or not be fully honest about what's going in? I'm just asking the question. If I'm getting enticed to have somebody have a change order, then I'm also enticed not to maybe give them all the information so they need more change orders. I don't know. Am I making it up?
So I think that's one of those slippery slopes, Matt. The change order incentive program, I was around when it was developed. It wasn't developed for that purpose.
Sure.
It was developed because the guys were just going out there and doing it and not worrying about it because it wasn't benefiting them personally. So if they figured if they gave them a little incentive to go look for those change orders, right, that they would keep their eyes open for it. So I think that was a good idea because you shouldn't do things for free. However, I do think that there's certain individuals that are going to take advantage of whatever opportunities they may have, and when that happens, it can be taken advantage of. I will tell you that my owner Allison, one of her main business core values is we are not a change order company. The price that we give you when we sell the elevator, we're going to do everything within our power. We see it as a failure to pull a change order. So we de-incentify ourselves for change orders.
Wow.
We take away incentives for change orders. So if we can't get it right on the front end, then we're not going to reward our people for having to charge our customers extra at the backside. Now that doesn't include, obviously, if they want to change finishes or sizes or make it a glass elevator or something like that. Those are all reasonable, perfectly good change orders. But change orders for re-inspections, change orders for mobilizations, change orders for storage and things like that, we really try not to we try to manage those to a place where we eliminate them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it does feel to me like it would be more just being thorough, right? Let's ask all of the pertinent questions. I mean, again, if somebody wants to change out the wood paneling or something, well, that's their prerogative, but let's do our very best to make sure we've answered every single question, get everything figured out, drop it in, walk away, be done, everybody's happy. Seems like an efficient way
That
to go.
should be our goal on every job. And if you can do that and not have to charge change orders and you can provide a quality product on time, I believe that you can grow your business. And that's what I'm trying to do at Phoenix Modular Elevator. Just exactly that.
Yeah. So what would you say? Is it? I don't know. What would you say about this? We talked about an opportunity. It sounds like it's a huge paradigm shift in maybe how things are done, and certainly within a certain height of elevators. But what's your pitch to the industry?
My pitch to the industry is, again, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And I'm not asking for everybody to look at modular as the only way to go. I'm just looking for opportunities to introduce the product and to share the benefits, to talk about the product. And we're here if we can support you in your business.
Perfect. Chuck, thank you so much for being with me today. It's always a pleasure, and I appreciate your time.
Hey, Matt, I always love talking to you, and thank you for the opportunity to chat a little bit and introduce myself and my company. I appreciate it.
You bet. Good luck to you as
All
you
right, man.
keep building your business.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Thank you for listening to the Elevator Careers Podcast, sponsored by the Allred Group, a leader in elevator industry recruiting. Please visit our YouTube channel at Elevator Careers or check us out online at elevatorcareers.net. Please like and subscribe, and until next time, stay safe.